All right, we've been telling you throughout the show that President Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will indeed speak tomorrow. We've learned that. And it comes as an American and others were killed in that attack on the World Central Kitchen workers in Gaza, which has certainly been the big story here the last couple of days. News Nation's Kelly Meyer live at the White House with more on what we are learning. Kelly.
Yeah, Connell, a U.S. official with knowledge confirming to News Nation that President Joe Biden and the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will speak tomorrow. We are assuming this will be a phone call between the two. They've had calls throughout this conflict. And, you know, it comes after, as you said, what we saw the IDF strike on the World Central Kitchen aid workers, which we saw President Biden really speak out in his strongest terms yet, saying that Israel needs to do more to protect aid workers and civilians and get more aid into Gaza. So we expect that to be among the topics discussed. It also comes as they had a virtual meeting with some of the Israeli delegation. That followed after, as we talked about, they canceled that planned meeting here in Washington. They are hoping to do something in person next week, we're told. But that could come up as well, as they are potentially considering this ground operation in Rafah. That's something that the Biden administration has been speaking out against, that they are trying to protect more civilian lives here.
Well, the other person we've heard speaking out, right, is Chef Jose Andres himself. I think that interview that came out earlier today has a lot of people talking. I think it was Reuters he spoke to, but you know, a lot of people taking note of what he had to say.
Absolutely. And Chef Andres is known in Washington circles here. He is really a friend. President Biden called him a friend, as the president called him yesterday to express his condolences. But we've been hearing from Chef Jose Andres in a New York Times op-ed that he wrote. He also spoke with Reuters earlier today in an interview, basically saying that this was deliberate, that he feels that this was a targeted attack. He says that it was communicated to the IDF where his aid workers were, that they were on this route moving aid into Gaza to help those civilians there. And he feels that they were targeted, and he wants to know why. Take a listen to this.
If we were targeted this way, I need to understand that this was no vicious. I need to understand that this was not by somebody that is above law and order that decided just to kill us because, I don't know, maybe because I did a tweet that was very strong against President Netanyahu. I don't know. Obviously, that's why we need to have an investigation that is neutral and is above IDF.
So Chef Andres continuing to speak out there. The question here at the White House today, is this going to impact support for Israel from the Biden administration? So far, they say no policy changes here. They will continue to stand by Israel, but they are looking into what happens in that investigation as to what happened, what went wrong here.
Right. Well, all right, no policy changes, but any reaction to those comments, the fact that he says that the workers were targeted?
Yeah, there were some strong words in the White House press briefing room today from Karine Jean-Pierre reacting to that op-ed that he put out there, saying that those workers were the best of humanity and calling on Israel to be better, to open more aid routes, to get more aid to those civilians in Gaza. Here's more of what White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre had to say this afternoon. Take a listen.
Look, we understand how Chef Andres is feeling, right? We just lost members of his team, I'm sure, who felt like family to him as well. The op-ed was very powerful. What he does is heroic, not just in Gaza, around the world, providing food, providing that essential humanitarian assistance. And we, you know, you heard from the president last night in his statement. He's outraged and he's heartbroken.
Now, she didn't answer a question directly on whether food was being used as a weapon of war. She also says, again, there will be no policy changes as of right now, and that they are going to continue to support Israel, but they are also going to continue having tough conversations with Israel, which brings more questions on what we might expect from that call between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu tomorrow. Connell.
Exactly. So they're going to speak tomorrow. Boy, a lot going on here. All right, Kelly Meyer live on the North Lawn of the White House with all of that for us. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.